to the City of Tyler Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, May the 7th. We're happy to have all our friends and neighbors and interested citizens here for this meeting. Like all of our meetings, they're open to the public. At the conclusion of this meeting, we will have our normal workshop, which is an opportunity for the commission to review items that will be on the agenda at our meeting next month. And that will be held in the Tyler Development Center across the street at 423 West Ferguson in the large conference room. The first order of business is a roll call.
Yes, sir. Carlene Darkbays.
Here.
Clint Childs.
Here.
Philip Humfer.
Here.
Christina Davis.
Here.
John Lands.
All right, we have a quorum today. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item?
Missed me.
Missed
I'm sorry.
number.
She missed.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Do you have Mike Carmichael on there?
Michael Carmichael.
Sorry.
Here.
Cut off.
Is that everybody?
I think so.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know they missed you, Mike. I can't imagine. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, May 22nd, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you've also received a notice for the City Council meeting. If any item is denied, the applicant has 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the Planning Department. The appeal will then be acted upon by the City Council. If you're here to speak for or against an item, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. Our next order of business is minutes from the April 2nd meeting. Commissioners had an opportunity to review those. Any corrections, changes? Is there a motion?
Move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Our first zoning item is Z24-001, and Carlene is going to have to recuse herself from the meeting at this time. This item was tabled at our last meeting, and so the first order of business is to remove it from the table. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made to remove this item from the table. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the Z24-001 is available for discussion. Kyle.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This first request is a zone change from agricultural district to a variety of low to high density residential development, and then commercial development as well on this 341 acre tract of land. This area is located between Cumberland Road and Jeff Davis and Biloxi on the east side. As you can see here on the map, it does show it's in an area where there is a future extension of New Copeland Road, which you see in red, traversing the property that connects New Copeland Road on the north side of this down to Biloxi Drive. And so the applicant is requesting this to develop a mixture of residential and commercial uses on this property. This is the future land use guide identifying this area. Largely a single family low density. There is multifamily shown there in the top left area, and then commercial down on the southeast side. This since it is a large area that's currently zoned for agricultural uses, the future land use guide doesn't really get into some of the what it may be in the future. But if you're looking at the future extensions of New Copeland Road and then collector streets, such as McLenny Drive and Cambridge Bend, into this tract, you might expect some more a variety of development in that area. This is what it currently looks like from an aerial view. And so this is the layout of the plan, the different zoning districts. The applicant, their intention is to essentially match what the surrounding land uses are. So, in terms of density, so for Cambridge Bend Estates on the west side, they are proposing to do low density single family there. But some of the areas that currently have maybe some townhomes or duplexes, they are continuing that into this development. So they're essentially matching those, and then closer to the larger streets and along those streets, they are proposing to do higher density development. Could be commercial or multifamily development. So this is the property as it is. I did want to overlay the proposed zoning district so you kind of see how that compares to the current zonings in the area. And like I said, as you look adjacent to it, the areas that are currently developed, it does match those in terms of intensity of land uses. And so that I just wanted to show that area there and what that might look like if this request was approved. And we can come back to this if we need to. And we went over this in the last meeting last month, just kind of the certain areas within this development that are, if they're being zoned for a planned district, they are establishing the development parameters with this approval. So these areas that are zoned for mixed or PMXD1, they are limited to C1, which is light retail, and then office and residential uses. These planned multifamily areas are, these are the standards for that. And so some of them have lower density requirements as you get further west. I believe the applicant can speak to this as well. But as you get further west, closer to the lower density single family areas going into Cambridge Bend, this one here, the highlighted PMF there, and in red there, those are limited to 9 units per acre, which is kind of medium density. So you wouldn't expect to have an apartment complex there. It'd be more of a, townhomes or medium density single family. And just going through these areas of planned commercial along Biloxi, which would be limited to C1 uses. And so this is the area here. The applicant did have 3 neighborhood meetings, I think over the fall or the summer, last summer, meeting with the different neighborhoods in the area to try to understand identify any issues or concerns that they had. And so as a city with the application, we did send notices to all the neighbors within 200 feet of this request. We did receive, I believe it was 7 in opposition with a protest calculation of 4.11%. As you see here, all the properties in red. Generally, the concerns are related to questions about how the property will be developed and the impact on drainage, loss of wildlife and trees and things like that. And the applicant may can speak to this as well, but a lot of those concerns will be part of the development review process. As development occurs, there are different codes and ordinances that the city will have to review for and require the developer to adhere to. And so what we're talking about today is kind of the layout of land uses within this 340 acre area and whether they are considered to be compatible with what's currently developed in that area and what the future plan for streets show for this area. And with that, the staff has reviewed the request and finds anticipates no significant impact on services or facilities by this request, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Kyle. Commissioners, any questions for city staff? If not, Ray McKinney is here to speak. If Mr. McKinney?
Yes, Ray McKinney. I'm the president and CEO of the Genicove Group, and address 1350 Dominion Plaza, Tyler, Texas 75703. I really have nothing to say other than to offer my services of trying to answer a question if something pops up. I'm over here, but from what I understand, just echoing what Mr. Kingman just said, we believe it complies with the zoning requirements, and we hope you guys will approve it today. So I'm here if you need me.
Thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for Mr. McKinney? If not, again, thank you for your time and presence. That is the only name that I've gotten somebody signed up to speak. Are there others here who would like to speak on this item? If not, commissioners, any questions for city staff? This is the second time we've reviewed this project.
Yeah, I think we've had a chance to look it over a little better.
All right, if there are no other speakers or no questions, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Z24-001.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Items approved. Let the record show that Carlene's rejoined us. The next item on our agenda was also tabled from our last meeting, PD 23-029, CNM meets. Is there a motion to remove this from the table?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to remove this from the table. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item is available for discussion. Kyle?
This is a request for a planned multifamily district site plan amendment. The applicant, or this property is located just northwest of the intersection of East Front Street and the East Loop. As you can see here, the surrounding properties are zoned for single family to the north and west, and then commercial to the south and industrial to the east. The property to the north is currently undeveloped, and then the other ones are a mixture of developed land or undeveloped property. This request is still a multifamily proposal, so it's consistent with the future land use guide that was changed when this property was previously rezoned for multifamily. As you can see here, this is the current property or current layout of the site. You can see the development in the area. This is the existing site plan that was approved a couple of years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, and it's 472 units, multifamily units, and 3 buildings. It does have this does show retail along Front Street, but that's not subject to the site plan. It's just the residential component on the north side there. This is what they're proposing now is 192 units, multifamily units, also in 3 buildings. But as you can see, the layout is a little bit more spread out, and you can see the amenities in this area. This property is located within our north end planning area, and so the addition of 192 units helps help the goal of adding more rooftops to the north end. So of the notices that we sent out, we received 2 in opposition from the adjoining property owners to the northwest and south or east, and generally, the concern was similar to the concern that we've had in the previous approval of the multifamily development was that the concern that multifamily might bring more crime to an area, which has not been, demonstrated, and then also concerns about some of the adjacent land uses in the area being kind of more commercial or heavier commercial in nature, and how that might affect the residents of the apartment complex. And so those are concerns that were, brought up last time when the property was rezoned. I'm not sure if, the change they're making today really, changes, the thought process behind having it be multifamily, which was a decision made, again, 2 years ago. The protest calculation comes out because it is, the immediate area around the property to 48.16%. Because that's over 20%, city council will have to approve it with a 3/4 majority vote, which I believe they did last time, because I believe last time there was a similar protest calculation. Staff has reviewed the request for the site plan amendment and recommends approval.
All right, Kyle, thank you. Thanks very much. Because this is in the north end, is that going to affect the obligation to do something about Jones Street, which is,
No,
are we going to require?
they will need to plan to construct Jones Street along their frontage. And so that will kind of open up the area for further development. And I think part of that is due to also the need for fire protection, because they are taller residential structures.
Well, I'm sure other commissioners have seen the condition of Jones Street and recognize perhaps there's a need for improvement. Any other questions for city staff?
Kyle, I remember last meeting we had talked about the one-way in, one-way out nature of this project, and I believe you had mentioned maybe having the traffic engineer take a look at that and weigh in. Did y'all have anything to add?
Yeah, all city staffs reviewed it. We don't have any concern about what they're proposing here. Jones Street will provide another point of access, and then there's a gravel, I believe they'll have to do some gravel connection further to the west, going out to Old Henderson. I also want to mention one of the feedback we received was a concern about drainage. And again, that's not related to zoning. But I did convey that concern to the applicant's engineer to make sure that they are aware of some of the concerns for drainage, and maybe they can incorporate that into their plan. But to answer your question, that all staffs looked at it and has no concerns.
To the point about the drainage, is the detention pond on the south side, is that part of what we're looking at right now, or is that outside of what the site plan includes?
It's outside the scope of the site plan. This would just be for zoning, and if something changes in the future where they have to put detention on this property, they'll have to adjust the site plan, and depending on the scale or scope of that, it might have to come back for approval.
Okay.
Any other questions for city staff? Well, the only person who signed up to speak is Mr. Priestner. Mr. Priestner, do you want to share anything with us? This is yours, isn't it? No? There's a big 23 on my screen, and so I thought that was C3. Okay. It says it is a Z. Thank you. All right, any other person who would like to speak on this side or against? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve PD 23-029.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item is approved. Next item, PD 24-005, Shy Rays was also tabled from our last meeting. Is there a motion to remove this item from the table?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Let me just pause when I pause between motions and seconds. My learned understanding of the parliamentary rules is that I'm not supposed to ask for a second. And I didn't know that until recently. So that's what, in this case, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Item PD 24-005 is available. Kyle?
Yeah, so last month we discussed this, and where it was left was that the applicant, they were considering doing something different or rezoning for something different on the property. After discussing it further with the applicant, they have elected to withdraw this request until they're ready to proceed with another request. And so at this time, they have withdrawn the request and no further action is needed.
All right. Steve, since it's posted, do I need to see if there's somebody who wants to speak or not, since it's been withdrawn? All right. Thank you. This item apparently has been withdrawn, but because it was posted, if there are persons here who would like to speak on it for or against, it's an opportunity because it's a public meeting. If not, that item is withdrawn. The next zoning item is PD 24-007, Tyler Broadway Centennial Paths. Kyle?
This is a request for a PCD planned commercial district site plan for this out parcel within the village at Cumberland Park. The applicant's requesting the site plan to establish a Whataburger restaurant on this property. Because it currently does not have a site plan, the zoning requires that they submit that for approval. As you see here, typical Whataburger layout for their site. The request is consistent with the standards for the Cumberland Park development. All staffs review the request and anticipates no significant impact from the request, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions for city staff? If not, are there persons, I don't have any names, but are there persons who would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve this. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve item PD 24-007.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is PD 24-006, Arch Funding LLC. Kyle?
This is a zone change request from planned mixed residential district to planned multifamily district. This is along Centennial Parkway, near Skidmore Lane, Centennial Parkway. The property is currently zoned PXR, which is a previous zoning classification that we no longer have. It was planned for 24 duplex style units, each unit being on its own lot, but to the eye it would look like a duplex. And so a little bit of history on this property, this development was started. I'll go here. Was started when it was in the county, and later on it was annexed at the request of the applicant to receive city utilities. They had already started on the buildings you see on the south side, lots 40 through 43, and started to build the street there, as you see. The issue is that when the property was platted and subdivided formally, they did dedicate that street to the public as a public street. but that street's not built to a city standard. And so one of the options they have is to rezone to the planned multifamily district that will allow them to take advantage of to convert that private street or a public street into a private way, which is kind of a lower standard of pavement, but it's still a fire lane standard to serve essentially what can be considered multifamily development. As you see, there's a few common area open space provisions in the site plan. And you can see the layout there of the buildings. And so this isn't, even though the zoning's for multifamily, the actual development that's being proposed is really a duplex development. In some ways, it's townhomes because each unit can be owned and occupied by the owner, or there's other options. But so it's a little different than a multifamily that you actually see to the west, which was more of a traditional multifamily development. And so this is the layout. This actually has 26 units that's being proposed. So there's 2 more that's being proposed in this development. But this will take what would be a public street off of the city maintenance by having that be a private way instead. And so that would be privately maintained by the HOA or by the owner of that property. We did send notices out to neighbors within 200 feet. We received 3 in opposition with a protest calculation of 6.15%. I think the concern was mostly without having further knowledge of the actual development, concerned that it might be for actually multifamily development or like an apartment complex. But this change is really to allow the development to continue, and then essentially as it was already approved in the past. Staff has reviewed the request and recommends approval of this zone change.
Thanks. Any questions for
Kyle, just to confirm, emergency services and such, they're comfortable with the length of everything being a dead-end street with a turnaround?
Yeah, we didn't receive any concern from them.
or any other questions for Kyle? I don't have a name of somebody who signed up to speak, but if the person's here who are interested in this item and would like to speak on it for or against, it's your opportunity. If not, the staff recommendation is to approve this. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve PD 24-006.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is C 24-003, the Zag Building.
My last one. This is a request for a thoroughfare closure of Mercedes Drive and Bendale Drive. These are off Crow Road, and these were dedicated as public streets. They've been constructed as well. The applicants wanted to make this request so they can convert these to private streets, similar to the previous request. That this will allow them to have these streets be gated within their development. As you can see here, the Mercedes Drive does extend to the north for a future connection, which may be another development on the north side. As you can see, to the north side is currently Zone C2, which is kind of a heavy commercial area. And so one of the concerns, the immediate issues that the applicant had was that this, having to be a public street could create a situation where you have a lot of commercial traffic through there until Rice Road is constructed going west. And so this will provide that kind of the ability to gate that for at least the immediate future. So essentially the process is for them to close the public street or streets that's been dedicated and built for the public, and then convert those to a private street. They do own all the properties around it, and they do intend to keep those properties again for the immediate future. And so with that, we notified neighbors outside or around the property, and none were received in favor or in opposition. And staff recommends approval.
Any questions for city staff? All right, if not, I don't show anybody who's signed up to speak on this item. Are there persons here? Mr. Priestner, I knew I'd get to you sooner or later.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Priestner, half. I'm here on behalf of San Mosaic, just to answer any questions that you have. Like Kyle said, this is a senior living facility or it's designed for that. There's a lot of requests from them to gate it, and in order to gate, we have to go to private streets in order to do that. So that's really the reason behind it. When you look at the future land use plan and the master street plan, Reek Road comes across the top that feeds all of that property to the north that's zoned commercial. So it really still retains that access up there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thanks, Mark. Any questions for Mr. Priestner? If not, thanks for your time and presence. Are there others who wish to speak on this item, for or against? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve item C24-003.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item's approved. Next is Z24-011, Marion Ware.
I'll do this as well.
Let me just, this is a good time to stop, but in case you're wondering why Kyle is doing all the heavy lifting, we lost Thorani to the city of Arlington, I think, and those of us who are accustomed to having her present, we miss her, and Kyle is, struggling along and doing the best he can. Kyle?
Well, Thorani and Matthew, we have lost two employees. Okay, so this next one is a zone change from light industrial district to single family attached and detached district on West Line Street. As you see here, they are requesting this change to build a single family home on this property. As you can see, the surrounding properties are zoned multifamily and R1D. They are developed primarily with single family homes. And that is actually the Short Line National Historic District to the north, and Oakwood Cemetery to the west. South of that is DBAT, Downtown Business Arts and Culture District, which is essentially where we are right now. This request would amend the future land use guide to single family and single family attached, which is commonly what you see in this area. As you can see, the current development in the area there. And so with that, staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
All right, any questions for city staff? Again, no one signed up to speak. Are there persons here who would like to speak on this item, for or against? Yes. Come forward to the microphone, please.
I just wanted to make sure, Antonio Wright.
Come to the microphone and state your name.
Antonio Wright. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the property boundaries were correct on this item. Mine is to the east, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't overlapping. And where is the alleyway? What was the purpose of the alleyway on that area? I do have neighbors to the back that had concerns.
I'm not a surveyor, and that's a building issue. So I hope it's correct.
Okay.
I would say, yeah. So the request is only for the applicant's property. They can't rezone your property. These are the the parcel lines that are provided to us from the appraisal district. And so they are fairly accurate.
Show me where your property is, sir.
To the east, right here in the smaller triangle.
The small triangle
Right
to
to the
the east, or whatever direction it is.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all the questions I had.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for this gentleman? If not, are there others who wish to speak on this item for or against? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Z24-011.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item's approved. And the next item is the adjoining unimproved alley adjoining to this property, C24-003. Kyle?
Right. This is a request to close the unbuilt alley that you see there. This is right of way that was apparently dedicated at some point for an alley, which will never continue to the south because of the tracks and the development to the south. And so with this, the applicant will need to replat their half of the alley into their property within 6 months, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions for Kyle? If the persons here wish to speak on this alley closure? If they're not, staff recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion?
Move that we approve item C24-002.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Caleb,
Yes.
C24-005, Smith County.
I heard you talking about, I'd give Kyle a little bit of a break. And I'll do the last two just to wrap them up. Yes, this is a closure request for a portion of Spring Avenue and a couple of different alley right-of-ways, all located downtown in the general area of the courthouse. This is part of Smith County's plan for redevelopment of the new courthouse and the kind of downtown area as a whole. Speaking to the kind of alleys, the alleys are just unused portions of alleys that had been dedicated, who knows, however long ago. The Smith County currently owns all of the adjacent properties that surround those alleys. They don't plan on using them. In fact, they will be covered up with the parking garage and the courthouse. So this is just kind of a way of cleaning those up. Speaking to the Spring Avenue, that other portion there that you can see, that will be part of the new square that's going in once the courthouse is moved. So that portion will be closed in order to kind of accommodate that redevelopment of the square. My understanding is that closure won't, the road itself will not be closed until that portion of redevelopment comes. I don't know how many of you were here when we did this previously, but we've had similar instances where a property owner has closed a road and then continues to utilize it as a road just on the off chance that they need to shut the road off or redevelop it in the future. That's a similar situation to this here. That will occur, like I said, whenever that phase of development comes, which will probably be after the new courthouse is already built and then the square development takes place. Of the, of the 11 notices that were sent out, 1 was returned in opposition. The opposition was generally opposed to the sort of change in traffic flow that would result from this closure. There is plans to convert East Ferguson Street there from a one-way into a two-way street. The protest, was generally against the idea of closing this portion of Spring until that portion of East Ferguson gets changed into a two-way. I don't believe at this point there's definitive plans for kind of the timing for all of that one way or the other. But like I mentioned, that portion of Spring Street is likely not going to actually be closed until they get to the point of redeveloping the square. So staff has reviewed this request and finds that it's generally consistent with approval criteria. Staff recommends approval of this closure request.
All right, well, thank you. Caleb, I was a little bit confused about this. That's one of the places I bank. And I'm glad to know that I'll be able to get in or out of the bank. And I guess that was the concern, is access and any questions for city staff? If not, are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? All right, if not, the staff recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve item C 24-005.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. The next is C 24-004, Francisco Hernandez.
Yep. Kyle gave me 2 closures to wrap it up. This is
It could be a career specialty, closing alleys.
Could be. We got a lot of them, so keep me employed. This is a request for an alley right-of-way closure located here, as you can see, at the intersection, near the intersection of East Vance Street and Carlisle Avenue. It's currently an undeveloped alleyway, and I believe there are no plans to further develop this alleyway. In fact, you can see it looks like a portion of it was already closed to the north and incorporated. I don't know when that was done, but it looks like this has never really been intended or used as an alleyway. The applicant is requesting in order to replat a portion of the alleyway into their adjacent property. Of the 24 notices that were sent out, none were returned in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval.
Are there any questions for Caleb? If not, are the persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? So it's a hot and controversial issue here. If not, staff recommendation is to approve this item. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve C 24-004.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Item's approved. At this point, the Planning Commission will stand in recess.